And joining us now, Matt McCarl. Matt, I can tell you're getting old because you've been around. You got an anniversary coming up, and it's you've been in business a long time. I mean, this is getting. You're going to have one of those, little signs outside established in, and people are going to go way back then.
Right? I know it's crazy. It
So tell
doesn't feel
people
like it's
about
been
your
that long
anniversary
though.
when you started this. So it was 9 years ago.
So yes, 9 years ago is June 24th is the official opening day of New Leaf Hyperbarics Eugene, which has now become New Leaf Hyperbarics and Wellness. The adventure actually started in 2012, so it's been a long road to get to where we are. But in 9 years, I've seen a lot of cool healing happen.
Well, and you were kind of the first in this field that I knew of. I mean, other people were doing it, but you heard about this and knew that this would be the perfect thing for Eugene, and you've been helping people ever since.
Absolutely, yeah. When I first heard about it back, like I said, in 2012, I couldn't believe that there wasn't a place like this already in Eugene, because it was such a perfect match for Eugene and alternative care from traditional medicine and things like that. I already knew kind of like most of the folks here and like really appreciate that type of modality. And so being able to bring that to Eugene has made a huge difference for a lot of folks here locally as well as across the whole state.
And I think what is so fitting for Oregon and Eugene about what you do is all of us when I was there, but I think we're always looking for something other than a medical doctor. Nothing against medical doctors, but we're looking for alternate treatments. Eugene is a big community, and Springfield and Oregon into, I want to find, we're acupuncture, all kinds of different things that are out there. And we aren't, and I think in the last couple of years, especially, we've learned I need to take charge of my own healthcare, and I want to find things that I'm not putting in my body that are giving me side effects.
Absolutely. That's one thing I've noticed because for those that have watched this before and know my history a little bit of being a fireman for the last 30 years, I'm a firm believer that we need that type of medication. Like if we're in a car wreck, we need some pain meds and things like that to get us through, and surgery type stuff. We need those kind of medications for those emergent moments. But as a lifestyle, I don't think too many of us have realized that we don't really want to go down that road and go to the doctor because I'm having X. He gives you a medication for X, and then a month or two later, you're back in, and now you have Y, Z, A, and B issues because of what he gave you to help X. And then, I've seen that, with my grandparents, I saw that where my grandma started taking like a water pill, and then next time she's got 3 or 4 more pills. A couple months later, pretty soon they have a whole plethora bag full of medications they have to take every day.
I was reading an article the other day on statins and for people with high cholesterol and the side effects that are now coming out. And they're even looking back at some of the COVID. And one of the side effects, according to this author of this article, was that it can deplete your vitamin D, which we know we need desperately, especially in
Right.
Oregon, for not only mental health, but also to keep, that was one of the things that could help with the virus to keep us healthier.
Mhm.
And so here's this drug. So, and people that are on statins, you got to check with your doctor and all that. But here's a modality you have that is pure oxygen that, it does all kinds of things. And I think people are willing to look at, maybe I don't need as much of that, and let's mix them and then kind of wean myself off of some of the prescription drugs, because we are a nation, according to this article, we're just a nation. We're drug addicted for everything.
Absolutely. Agreed. That's something we do see a lot of times. The folks that have been here know that we do a pre-screening where our physician oversight looks at the medical background of everybody coming in and clears them for hyperbarics. There's really only one reason we can't see anybody, but we need to know what's going on with you before you come in. For example, folks that are on a high blood pressure medication because they have trouble coordinating their blood pressure due to whatever reason. We need to know that, because if you're doing hyperbarics regularly once you get started, 3-4 months in, depending on how often you're doing it, could even be a month in, depending on your frequency when you first get started, we possibly and more than likely will see a trend where your blood pressure will start kind of going down. down. And if we see that regular just downslope in the blood pressure medications, we tell folks, hey, you might want to go in and see your doc and have him check your blood pressure and do all the testing. They may need to regulate your blood pressure medication down a little bit so that you're back in more of the normal range, to where folks have gotten off their blood pressure medications by
So
doing these great hyperbarics.
how much has hyperbarics changed, or much more have you learned in 9 years? I
Uh,
bet you came into this now, you kind of look back and go, it's like all of us. We get into something and go, I knew this was good, but I had no idea.
yes, so much stuff I've learned. I mean, when I got into it, I just was in awe of what it could do for folks. Like, I learned that it could help with over 80 different conditions and all these things that was being told to me, but now I've witnessed a lot of that stuff in 9 years. It's very cool to see, like, folks that have concussions. For example, the Miss Jeanette that we did the interview with a couple years ago, to see the light come back on in her eyes and be able to thrive as much as she's done is amazing after that, horrific car wreck she was in, to where she was to the point that she was going to sell her business because she couldn't figure numbers and things like, which was important to her business, being a motor vehicle insurance sales. She needed to know numbers, and she just could not get those figured out. Finally, she came in, did the hyperbarics, and after several treatments, the lights came back on, and she thrived. And actually, it changed her whole. It led her down a whole different path of healing for herself, which is really cool to see her now.
So Matt, now I know that another area you've gotten into dealing with hyperbarics is you're now selling these so people can put them in their own home, especially, or rent them, like someone going through chemotherapy or having some cancer treatments. Hyperbarics has been known to help with that, help alleviate some of the pain that goes along with that. And so you're now helping to, not just bring people into your business. It's like, hey, put this in your house, make it part of your own psyche treatment, your mental
Mhm.
health.
Absolutely, yeah. Because a lot of folks find it more cost effective to not have to make an appointment, get in the car, drive all the way here, do the treatment, and then drive back or go on with their day from there. For example, for myself, I find it much easier just to set my alarm maybe an hour earlier than when I need to get out of bed, get up, climb in my chamber, take the next hour, take a little nap while I'm in the chamber, get out, and then go on with my day. Makes it much easier for me to get the treatments I need, because I still produce inflammation, and I would rather take a nap at least once a week in my chamber so that I'm not putting ibuprofen in my face every day to deal with, the inflammation and pain that creates.
So Matt, since you've been in this for almost a decade now, and actually you've been understanding hyperbarics more than a decade, but I mean in actual business for 9 years.
Mhm.
There's all new companies, new people doing hyperbarics, people coming in. Oh, now we're all jumping on the bandwagon and that kind of thing. Why should someone come to you rather than the other guy? What does that relationship look like?
Yes, that's a great question, Rick, because there actually is a brand new place across town that just opened that also has hyperbarics. What I like to share with folks is we are hyperbaric centric, which means we are focused. That's our main therapy that we do for folks. Is we have 4 hyperbaric chambers. We do hyperbaric therapy. We happen to have massage therapists. We happen to have a light bed. We happen to have an infrared sauna, and now we happen to have brain tap to help folks on top of the hyperbarics, because it's just a very stackable modality with those other things we're doing here. I like to equate a lot of the other folks in town that happen to have a hyperbaric chamber. For example, there's some chiropractors across town. They're a chiropractic office that happens to have a hyperbaric chamber, and they will use their hyperbaric chamber for their clients. They might market a little bit, but it's more for their clients, say for post-motor vehicle accidents, things like that. There's a naturopath who happens to have a hyperbaric chamber in his office, but he's much more into hormone therapy and things like that. But he happens to have a hyperbaric chamber, where we're, like I mentioned, hyperbaric centric. So we're all about helping you with the hyperbaric side of things, using the oxygen as that supplement that it is, in providing that service. I've had folks that have actually come from one of those places I just mentioned earlier, and he asked me, I said, why should I come to see you? And I explained that same thing to him. And then he came in, did a treatment, and said, oh, I get it.
Well, because for when people are coming to you with 9 years, I mean, I know, you're a little nuts when it comes to hyperbarics. I mean, you dig into this stuff. I mean, that's kind of your personality. It's just like if you're jumping in, you're going all the way in. So you have researched this extensively. So when somebody's sitting down with you, there's 9 years plus of experience and research you've got in this. It's not like, here's the bed, hop in. Um, it's what this is, and you're passionate about knowing that this is probably going to help a lot of people.
Absolutely. The more I dig in and the deeper I go, the more I find, and the field is just expanding, especially what they call mild pressure, which is what we do, is expanding a lot. They're doing more and more studies at what they consider mild pressure and finding that it works almost as well as the high pressure stuff, depending on what we're treating. But it's more, I have the same conversation with folks a lot of times about high pressure versus low pressure. And they're finding that it's more about the time you're under pressure, not necessarily the amount of pressure that you're under. So say you are going to like a hospital setting or somewhere where they have one of those metal chambers where they can go super high pressure, like say 2 atmospheres, which is 33 feet below sea level. Keep in mind, we treat it 10 feet or 1.3 atmospheres. If you're in one of those chambers in 100% oxygen atmosphere for an hour, the mathematical equation that you would use to figure out your oxygen dose and do that, you would have an oxygen dose of 2. Well, to get that same oxygen dose of 2 in a chamber that we use at 10 feet with 95% oxygen, you would just be in the chamber for like an hour and 45 minutes, get that same oxygen dose versus the hour. So it's more about, like I said, the pressure, the amount of time you're under pressure than the pressure you're under. And I think they're learning more and more that that's a really good thing because it's less pressure on all your organs, like
Right.
say your eyes and your ears, especially because those that have done the hyperbarics know you have to clear your ears by yawning, swallowing, doing a Valsalva maneuver, very similar to flying when you're the landing portion of flying. Or those that have done scuba will really know what the Valsalva maneuver is and clearing your ears as you go to depth. So there's less of that in our chambers versus a higher pressure chamber. It's also, there's other effects from being in 100% oxygen versus pressurized in room air and breathing 95% pure oxygen. There's a big difference in that as far as the ability to become oxygen toxic and things like that, which can happen in the higher pressure chambers when you're in 100% oxygen. That's why about every 20 to 25 minutes, folks have to go on what they call an air break when they're in those big chambers where they put on a hood that just has atmospheric air. They breathe that for 5 or 10 minutes. They take it off, go back to the 100% oxygen at pressure so that they don't become oxygen toxic. Because, like everything, too much of a good
Right.
thing is still too much.
So I know how you are, and every time some event comes along, you have to have a special. Matt
Oh, yeah.
McCarl and his specials. And so I know you're doing an anniversary special, but I just want to point out to people, there's also Father's Day coming up. There's also a lot of graduates. You can give somebody some stupid gift, but but put them in an oxygen tank, as a graduation gift. That's a pretty cool thing. And, it may give them a different outlook on life. So what is the special coming up for your anniversary?
So for the month of June, starting June 9th, actually not the full month, but June 9th, because we're playing with nines right now because it's 9-year anniversary. Starting June 9th, you can get 65 minutes in a hyperbaric chamber for only $90. So that's really great for returning clients. You can get up to 9 of those. Massage, you can get a 90-minute massage for only $99, which is a great savings. I think that's usually like 130, 140. So great special there. And then with your purchases, when you purchase either one or up to 9 of those items, you get a free power bed, which is our super awesome red, infrared, and blue light bed,
Oh,
power
love the
bed,
power bed. Oh,
or 30-minute sauna. So you get your choice of one of those two things when you purchase. So if somebody comes in and buys 9 hyperbarics, they get a free session. If they do 1 hyperbarics, they get a free session. So absolutely, it's kind of cool.
okay. So that runs through to June 30th then.
Correct. Yep. Till the end of the month.
All right. So Matt McCarl. So yeah, I have a birthday on the 29th. I want a 29th special. It's a 9. Come on,
Yep.
Matt. I mean, give me a
Yeah, yeah.
9. Of
Well,
course,
it's a little far to get a chamber to you though, right
I
now.
know, but when I'm home next time, Matt always kind of gives me a little, I get little specials anyway because we're friends. Matt McCarl,
Absolutely.
thank you for, yeah, 9 years. And, and I think also just the research that you have behind you. You know what I mean? Anybody can get in a tank, but it's like to know what you're going in for. I think that's super important. And you've seen enough people in 9 years that you know how a doctor is, and Matt's not a doctor. I'm not saying that, but okay, you've been in a car accident. Here's what's worked on a lot of people. Let's try that, and I think that's valuable information and a resource in the community that you don't just get by popping into a hyperbaric chamber somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of us folks out there rely on, doing research. And folks will call and be like, "Well, I've read this and I've read that." And yeah, there's all kinds of a lot of the studies you read is, yes, looks like this is very promising. Hybrids seem to do this, but we need more studies. The problem is there's only so many people doing studies. But when you have real life things you've seen, to share those stories with folks is amazing, especially if those folks can go and collaborate that story with that person or see the things we have on our walls in here. And that's one thing we're trying to do over the next several years as we go along is really start collecting clients' stories for folks so that other folks out there that really maybe they have some off condition, but maybe we have seen another person that's had that same off condition. We can collect all those stories, and that way those folks that are struggling to find a modality that really helps them, if that's our modality here with hyperbaric therapy, we got to get those people connected.
Yeah. Matt McCarl, New Leaf Hyperbarics and Wellness Center, special for the 9th anniversary from June 9th to June 30th. We'll put this out and let people see it and understand it. Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rick.
See you later.
See you later.